All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be exploring a really deep tension that you see throughout the history of faith. This constant battle between imperial control on one side and personal, individual agency on the other. And we'll be looking at some sources that talk about restoring something they call the way.
I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever been in a religious setting and just felt like this seems to be more about managing people than actually connecting with something bigger? It's a feeling a lot of us have had. And these sources, they actually have a name for it.
They call it imperial rust. It's a fantastic metaphor, isn't it? The idea is that you start with this pure, revolutionary spiritual movement, but then, over time, it gets co-opted by state power, Think about what happened with Rome. And its whole purpose flips, from liberating the individual soul to just making the population easier to manage. The original core gets rusted over.
So to really understand how this rust takes over, the sources give us this really useful framework. They say you can pretty much measure any faith by what it puts at the top of the pyramid. Is it all about right belief, orthodoxy? Or is it about right action, orthopraxy? Or is it about the right heart, what you might call orthocardia or just internal authenticity?
And this table just lays it all out so clearly. An imperial system takes belief and action and turns them into weapons. It needs everyone to have the exact same right belief because that creates unity, which makes control easy. It needs everyone to perform the same right action because uniformity is simple to manage, but your heart, your actual internal state, totally irrelevant. Why? Because you can't enforce it from the top down. But for the way, it's the complete opposite. The right heart is everything. It's the source code from which authentic belief and meaningful action actually grow.
So here's the bottom line. The whole motivation for the empire, according to these sources, is basically to spiritually disarm people. If you've just got a bunch of passive worshippers following external rules, well, they're predictable, they're manageable. But if people start seeing themselves as sovereign agents, as co-workers who tap into the same power as the Messiah, as this quote says, well, now you've got a problem. Now you've got a challenge to the system.
Okay, so if imperial rust is the disease, what's the cure? These texts argue that we need to do a kind of spiritual archaeology, to dig down past all those layers of rust to uncover what was there before, a pre-imperial faith they call the way.
So what is the way, or haderech as it's called in Hebrew? It's not a set of beliefs you just download into your brain. It's a path, it's a way of life, and it completely reframes your role. You're not just a spectator. You are a sovereign partner in what some call tikkun, this grand cosmic project of repairing and healing the universe. It's an active mission, not a passive belief.
And just look at this comparison. It is so stark. The imperial model, it makes you a subject, a child. You're totally dependent, saved by simply believing the right checklist of things. But the way, it calls you a coworker, an active agent, who gets aligned with the cosmos through discipline and action. It is a massive shift in how you see yourself and your place in the universe. Even the structure they propose is totally different. You've got the source, the great architect, at the top. Then you have Yeshua, or Jesus, who isn't positioned as a deity you worship, but as the general. He's the template, the first one to show what's possible, the firstborn coworker. And then there's you, the sons of light, the builders. The whole idea is you don't just pray to the general, you march with him.
And this one little shift changes everything. It moves faith from being a religion about a historical figure, where he's a spectacle you watch from the stands, to the religion of that figure, a path you actually have to walk yourself. His life becomes the instruction manual, a challenge for you to live up to, not some cosmic transaction that gets you off the hook.
Okay, this all sounds really inspiring, but let's be practical. There's a huge potential problem here, right? If you get rid of all the top-down control to create this decentralized movement, how do you stop it from getting corrupted all over again? What stops the rust from just forming in a new way?
And the answer these sources give is, well, it's pretty brilliant. The defense isn't a new pope or a perfect, unchangeable holy book. It's a decentralized tool. It's a personal filter that's given to every single person, and it's designed to allow for diversity while protecting the core integrity.
It's called the litmus test. So simple. It's a 3-part filter that anyone, anywhere can apply to any teaching, any community rule, any action, to see if it actually aligns with the way. It's designed to be the ultimate built-in defense against corruption. So how does it actually work? Well, you just ask 3 questions. First, transparency.
Can this thing exist out in the open, in the full light of day, or does it need secrets and lies to survive? Second, vitality. Does this action generate more life, more energy, or does it lead to decay and stagnation? And third, order. Does this create real, sustainable peace, what the sources call shalom, or does it just create more chaos?
And this is the real genius of it. This tool is what allows the way to be incredibly tolerant without just falling apart. By focusing on the results of an action, does it pass the test? It prioritizes that internal authenticity we talked about instead of trying to force everybody into the exact same box. This means different communities can have different customs, different traditions. As long as their practices create transparency, vitality, and order, they are part of the way. It prevents that rigid breakdown that empires love.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Take something like judging relationships. An imperial system, it thinks in terms of quantity. Does this relationship produce more units for the state, more soldiers, more taxpayers? But the Chaldean uses the litmus test to look at quality. Does this relationship produce good fruit? Does it result in more integrity, more vitality, more peace for the people involved? See? The external form matters less than the authentic, life-giving result.
So when you strip away all the layers, what these texts are really doing is presenting us with a choice. And it's not just about which doctrines you prefer. It's about two completely different ways of being in the world.
It really all boils down to this. The imperial path, it demands your submission. You give up your agency, and in return, it offers you safety. It offers structure. On the other hand, you have the way. It demands your sovereignty. It asks you to stand up and be a responsible, active agent in the world.
And that's really the question this whole thing leaves us with, isn't it? It's a trade-off we see everywhere, not just in religion. The comfort and safety of submission versus the burden and the power of responsibility. The empire offers a deal. The way offers a different one. So, which do you choose? That's definitely something to think about.